Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back to Expats in Progress.
That was
Yeah.
totally improv. But as you see, we have a new setup.
Yeah,
And that's because we moved our entire living room around. And,
as one does.
well, you have a whole new angle now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about today?
That actually brings us to our topic this week,
What's our topic?
which is the layout of British houses versus US houses.
There we go. That was also totally not improv.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's talk about it.
So, yeah, you go first.
What strikes you the most about the houses we've looked at in the UK versus the US?
Every single house, every room is separated by a door.
Yeah.
And that I hate.
So like in our house, we have like a very open layout as a lot of US houses do.
Yeah.
So our living room, our dining room, and a kitchen are just a room.
It's one room.
It's just a room. Our whole first floor is a room. Or our whole ground floor is a room.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. But we've looked at houses in the UK, it's always the same layout of an entrance hallway, and then off to one side's the living room.
Yeah.
Off in the back's the kitchen. Sometimes there's a separate dining room. It depends. Sometimes it's part of the kitchen. It's variable, but each of the rooms is completely walled off from each of the other, and there's only one way in, one way out. Which actually, I think it's kind of nice. Each room has a designated purpose. It makes good use of space. And like our open like plan living room has a lot of like space that is just useless and not used, and it's just space.
That is true.
Like it's like the delimiting space between the kitchen and the living room, whereas like UK houses, there's like each room has a purpose. You don't need that delimiting space. You have walls.
I know. I kind of wish that there was like a wall that went like from here to there.
Me too.
But yeah, like I'm on the other side of that. I don't like having okay, I want to get rid of doors. I hate the doors.
Yeah.
But also I like the kitchen and the dining room being connected at least.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Some place, a lot of houses we've looked at do like I feel like it's the same thing in between the US and UK houses, in that like the kitchen and dining room are sometimes connected, or sometimes there's a designated dining room.
Yeah.
If you want to be fancy. Like usually the houses with a designated dining room are like a lot more
Bougie.
expensive.
They're more expensive.
Yeah, and a lot more like intense than houses that have them combined are like a little smaller, a little nicer.
And at some point we'll do a right move video where like we go through and like look at some of the houses that we're looking at. Obviously none that we're going to buy, because when we actually buy a house, none of these houses are going to be available.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's interesting seeing in the price ranges and everything else.
Yeah. Another thing that's like weird is like in the US, I feel like a lot of the times like people really like one floor houses. Like there are a lot of single floor houses in the US, or like max 2 floors. I feel like in the UK, in the houses we've looked at, it's been a lot of 3 floor houses and a lot of 2 floor houses. There aren't really a lot of 1 floor houses.
Yeah.
They're called bungalows.
Yeah, the bungalows. That's always weird to me.
They're kind of in their own category, which is funny because a lot of the bungalows just look like US 1-story houses that like you see around here. They're a dime a dozen, but they're not there. They're like,
yeah, it's a whole thing.
They're kind of a weird one-off thing. But like I don't know. I also like there's a weird thing with yard space between the US and UK houses.
Oh my god.
Like so not that the US is great with yard space. So our house has no yard.
We don't really have a big yard.
We like it's small. It's tiny. And a lot of new houses in the US now have very, very tiny yards. The UK, like the yards are actually like pretty decent size
for even like the cheaper houses.
At least in the rear. Your front yard sometimes is a parking lot.
That is one thing I hate, and that's one thing when I was like looking on Rightmove, I'm like, no, I'm not doing any of that. I want a driveway and I want a front yard.
Yeah, like a nice green space that's like colorful with flowers.
I want to be able to do something with the front of the house. I don't want it just to be like, oh, pull up, this is the front of the house. Like,
yeah,
no.
it's very meh.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah. Also, can we talk about the garages? Because I don't think that garages in
they're
UK
not used
actually for cars. Like, how would you fit a car?
They're like for storage, and they're also like half the width of a car.
Like they're tiny. Like even though like large ones are like absolutely like
you wouldn't be able to fit like a Range Rover in there.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people use them as like gyms, stuff like that.
Yeah,
they're not really like
storage
for cars. Which like it's funny because like on the East Coast where I grew up on Long Island, like a lot of the garages were like that too. Like nobody had a garage that was for your car. Weather's nice, you just keep your car out. It's fine.
Whereas like here in the Midwest, it is not like that.
You need a garage.
You need a garage. Like there is no leaving your car outside, because then all winter long it adds hours to your day.
Yeah, there's a lot of like getting snow off. East Coast doesn't have as much snow in some spots. UK doesn't really have snow in general.
Yeah.
So like that might be why, honestly.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah. Then there's the okay, so in the US we have your run-of-the-mill house is just like its own detached thing.
Mhm.
Then like you might have you have your townhouses, which are on both sides, which like have stuff on both sides, and then you have
Duplexes.
your duplexes where one half is one house, one half is another house. Some places have quadplexes. Those places are strange
Yeah.
and should not exist.
Whereas like the UK, everything is a duplex. Everything's a duplex. Everything is a terraced home, which is just a nice way to say townhouse.
They're super common, and even duplexes are like called semi-detached.
Yeah,
A lot of
it's
the
a
time.
duplex.
And then like if you want a detached house, you have to look for
Yeah.
So, if you look at a lot of US real estate sites, you have your like condos and you have your houses, and your houses are nearly always detached.
Yeah.
Not the case in the UK. Also, they don't really have condos. I mean, they have condos, but they don't have condos.
I just don't know what they're called.
I think they're just flats.
Yeah.
But like you buy them, which is kind of like how I think that's how apartments are in like cities around here.
I don't
Like
know.
they're condos, but they're not condos. They're just called apartments.
Yeah, I have
New
no
York
idea.
has a lot like that, I think. It's interesting because we keep looking at like the semi-detached and terrace houses a little bit too, because like they're significantly cheaper and they all still have yards, which is not something you get with like terraced houses or duplex houses in the US, but they all have pretty good yard space, and we've been looking at them being like, maybe this is a good option, but like it seems really all over the place with how nice it is to live in those. Like
I don't know. I know I personally wouldn't want to live in I want my own space. I want my own yard. I want all four sides of my house to be my own.
Yeah. It seems nicer.
Yeah.
Like, honestly. I mean, the only upside of a townhouse I can really think of is like you don't need to pay as much for heating in theory because you have less exposed walls, but also the UK doesn't get that. It's not really that hot or cold, I think.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. And, like, the price difference is, like, pretty high, though. So, like, sometimes we've been looking at them just to, like, explore, but it doesn't seem worth it.
Oh, yeah. We've looked at houses anywhere between £350,000 and £900,000.
We don't know what our budget
and
is.
literally have no idea what the budget is just because
reasons.
We just don't even know what we're going to need at the time. So it's like it's really hard to make a budget if we don't even know what we need. And do we need a 3-bedroom or do we need a 5-bedroom?
When we move over there, we don't like we're still family planning. We don't know how many kids we're going to have like for certain.
Exactly. So it's a whole thing. And,
it's a lot. It's a lot to think about. It's a lot to look at.
Yeah.
Also, it feels like a lot of the houses in the UK are way better built than over here.
Yeah.
Like, they're sturdier. Unless they're new build homes.
Yeah, new build. There's a problem with new build homes.
Like, we actually live in a new build home over here, and it's okay. There are issues with it. There are issues with it that are normal standard issues, but like nothing too crazy or out there. Like we don't have mold problems or anything like that.
Exactly.
New houses in the UK, wow, I have seen so many horror stories. It is ridiculous about like mold,
insulation problems,
really not getting put in.
Yeah.
Them like forgetting to run piping correctly.
Yeah.
Smells, like all kinds of issues. And like I've been reading about like people who like were in new build houses and were in terraced houses, and they actually compared the two, and the new build houses had way more noise problems. The insulation was that thin.
Oh, wow.
On some of the new builds that you could literally hear everything your neighbors were saying, even though there was a space between you.
That's weird.
Also, landscaping things I don't entirely understand.
What do you mean?
Like, I've seen a lot of horror stories about them not doing the landscaping right, but I don't...
We had that problem here when our house was finished.
Yeah, parts of it are questionable.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the worst.
What time are we at?
All right, 9:57.
Perfect.
Should wrap it up?
We should wrap it up.
Okay, remember to like, comment, subscribe, smash that notification bell.
Smash the like button.
For updates.
It helps a lot.
Yeah, it helps us a lot. Most of you are not subscribed, and we have a lot of repeat viewers, so if you enjoy our content, please subscribe. It helps us a lot. It helps us expand out to do more interesting videos and more styles of videos in general.
Definitely.
Like, we've been able to do more of these sit-down videos because we've been exploring stuff a bit more, and, like, works very well. Also, let us know how you like these. Let us know how you like the reaction videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.